So in the last video, we talked a little bit about the goals and objectives of the CEO and why you would want to go on this journey of turning your employees into owners. You see, I don't believe we can pick the future, so it's our jobs as leaders to create as many successful paths as possible, so when an opportunity presents itself, we have the resources and the wherewithal to be able to take advantage of it. So as we talk about how do we transfer that institutional knowledge and business savvy to the next team, how do we arrive at it? You know, if you go off and think about this opportunity and this challenge, and you come back with the world's best succession plan for the future, whose plan is it? Is it yours or your leadership team's? Who's going to have to implement it? Who's going to have to buy into it? Who's going to have to execute it? You know, General Eisenhower said, I believe plans are worthless and planning is indispensable. So it's about bringing the team together and creating the plan as a whole. Think of your organization as a beach ball. Different peoples of your organization might see different colors of the beach ball. It's not important that we agree on what color the beach ball is. It's important that we all understand how everybody sees the beach ball so we can have authentic conversations about what's going on in our organization. So what are some proven business tools we can use to have authentic conversations? What about a corporate dashboard? About 60% of companies have a corporate dashboard, that financial metric going forward, but a lot of CEOs are very worried about sharing the information. Just because we aren't sharing the information doesn't mean that our team members aren't thinking about it. I would submit they're thinking about it, they're guessing, and they're guessing wrong, and it's not in your favor. I would suspect each and every one of us have a really good gut about what is going to occur in our organization next year. I don't know how to transfer gut. So how are we giving them the information necessary so they can make their own gut and anticipate the future and prepare the organization for the future? I would also encourage you, how are you transferring the art and the science of your organization to the leadership team? How are you getting all that information out of your head into the team members? I would encourage you never go to lunch alone, never go to a business meeting alone. This is your opportunity to demonstrate your brand, what your institutional knowledge is, and how you apply that to the industry. Maybe we could use a simple business tool like SWOT. We're meeting with one of our peers and we say, you know, where in the last year did we hit a home run? Where did we really knock the ball out of the ballpark? Where do we swing for the fences and miss and have a pop fly or a strikeout? Where's our horsepower? What allows us to stand out instead of blend in? Where's our Achilles heel? What's preventing us from being even better? What are those things that we need to take advantage of to achieve our goals and objectives? And what are the potholes that could take us out at the knees and put us out of the business? If you were this president of this organization, what is the one decision you would make? In other words, how are you transferring the art and the science of your organization to your leadership team? What's your most important asset? I would submit it might be our people. How are we teaching our leadership team to actively listen to our people so we can adapt and prepare our organization to meet the goals and objectives of going forward? Well, one of the tools that I found very helpful was an employee survey. In other words, how are we actively listening to what's going on in that organization? And if you do that survey, it's really important you share the information so you get that bond and that trust. And the answers aren't important as the clarifying questions. For example, one of the survey questions for our company was, do your employees feel safe? 26% of my employees said they didn't feel safe. Now, I knew every one of my employees' names. I knew their spouses. I knew their kids. I met with them several times a quarter for lunch, and I had an open door management style, and I felt I was very approachable. What I learned is if you don't ask the question, they won't tell you. And so I found out that our younger group was staying late at night to get work out the door, and they were calling their parents to have them walk out to their cars. Now, we were in a very safe neighborhood, and I said, well, what can we do to fix it? And they said, put up dusk to dawn lights, and I said, done. And we got that done. But that wasn't what I learned. What I learned was if you don't ask the question, they're not going to tell you. What's another way of looking at the beach ball? Well, we've talked a lot about from the outside in. How about from the inside out? How about from the outside in? Like a customer survey. 6% response is pretty typical for an email survey. Is that giving you statistical, meaningful information so you can make knowledgeable decisions about how to go forward? We find telephone surveys were extremely effective. We had about a 98% completion rate. And what did this allow us to do? Now we could sit down with my team members, we could look at this data, and we could say, okay, what are our customers telling us, and how are we going to make a knowledgeable decision to prepare our organization for the future of the customers? Let me give you an example. One of the survey questions was, are we meeting the professional communication needs of our client? And it didn't come back very strongly. You see, there are 4 different generations in the workforce. Some people don't respond well to a thumbs up emoji when we send them a proposal. So how are we teaching our leadership team to actively listen to our customers' needs and expectations so we can position ourselves to meet those needs and be the desirable resource? So these are some examples about how we communicate the institutional knowledge and the business savvy so they can create their own gut, their own understanding. See, leaders need to be thinking a phase or 2 ahead in the business cycle. I think there's very little that we can do today to stamp out the fire. We're just, whacking the mole. But how are we teaching each member of our team to look into the future and prepare that organization to the future? It's not so important about the data, it's about creating the narrative. Teaching them to understand what the data means. All right, so that's the first step. That is authentic conversations. There's a lot more to that. We can go into that later. Now, this next video we're going to talk about is how are you identifying those in your organization that have the will and the ability to lead.